Household Support Fund Crisis, Kent Support and Assistance Service, and that's from the independent group. It's proposed by Paul Thomas and by Mr. Thomas and seconded by Mr. Bradshaw. So, Mr. Thomas, over to you.
Thank you, Chair. I always say save the best till last, but to be honest, I think this is going to be another net zero support. We've heard today in the chamber deprived areas. We've heard about issues when people are down on their luck. This is specifically an ask for money when people are down on their luck as a last resort to give them some form of hope. I was hoping to have spoken to the previous one about combined members grant, not necessarily to support it, but so you can demonstrate what a small bit of money does to actually deliver smiling faces at the Maidstone Family Hub's Christmas party. A small gift gave every single child, over 354 of them, a present to take home. It's helped other organisations with a community that I share with the leader, where a small bit of money has provided additional facilities within a club which is much needed and is doing good work in the communities that we have been elected to serve. I'm not going to dwell on political advisers other than you've got a choice. It's a vote of conscience. Do you spend money on that and deprive someone else of an opportunity when things go wrong and they really need it? That's humanity. That's what I got elected for. I remember standing on a bus and seeing some of you applauding when I said I will not leave anybody behind. And I genuinely mean it. It's disgraceful when I see this budget. The only area I've got, and I'm thankful that you've turned down the ones before because the budget line's still there, is a small element that you need to do some soul searching to deliver that funding for yourself or ask officers for that help, which we have to do, to understand how we operate and how we deliver within this council. So I do please ask, vote of conscience rather than a bulk vote, because you need to be decisive here. Are you going to pocket it, or are you going to deliver for people that really need it when they're in their hour of need? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. Mr. Bradshaw, you're seconding this. Do you want to speak now or hold your right?
Thank you, Chairman. I would like to reserve my right.
Mr. King.
Thank you, Chair. It's right to recognise the current cost of living crisis caused by the current chaotic Labour government. For brevity, I won't go into the detail of the failures here. And the members opposite want to increase the council tax for our poorest residents. I'd like to clarify a few points.
Sorry, Chair, point of order.
Go on, Mr. Brady.
I'll have a go if you want.
I'm sorry, I didn't pick up who made the point of order. Mr. Bradshaw, come on.
Thank you. Once again, why are we mentioning council tax? We haven't mentioned council tax in this amendment. There's nothing in there about council tax. Learn to read.
Hold on. But it is an amendment on the budget, so, and it will affect. Okay.
Sorry, order 14.55. Speeches must be relevant to the matter under discussion.
Chair, if I may.
Oh yeah. Just a point. They are online a bit. You need to keep it to the amendment, not to the general budget. Thank you.
We're talking about the cost of living crisis, and the members opposite want to increase the council tax. Will affect people who are struggling with the cost of living. But you mentioned...
Stop. Amendment.
I will.
Okay.
The member opposite talked about facts and reading. He should have read that the Kent Support and Assistance Service, CAS, I have just had confirmed all claims have been processed and the CAS scheme is no longer accessible for claimants, and staff have been made redundant or redeployed as it is closed down. There is a Crisis and Resilience Fund. This is a new fund set up in the 2026-29 local government finance settlement. KCC's allocations in the multi-year settlement are 19.2 million in each of 26-27 and 27-28, and raising to 22.1 million in 28-29. The Crisis Resilience Fund, the CRF, is a ring-fenced grant which replaces the previously held Household Support Fund and discretionary housing payments. C&RF is classified as a local welfare provision, LWP, and can be used to enhance local welfare assistance schemes. However, it is not intended to replace the existing LWO schemes, which is important as these roles are discretionary crisis support mechanism. The primary objective of the C&RF is to both provide a safety net for those on low incomes who encounter a financial shock, and to invest in building local financial resilience to enable individuals and communities to better deal with crises in the long term and reduce crisis needs. The 200k total suggested to increase to the 19.2 million funding of the Crisis and Resilient Fund would not make a meaningful difference. And again, for brevity, I refer members to my previous response to the removal of funding for political assistance and member allowances. I urge members to vote this down.
Thank you, Mr King. Mr Wimble.
Thank you, Chairman. I'll make this shorter than what I've written down here, because Councillor King said most of this, which proves that we don't swap each and look at each other's homework. This amendment is political theatre at its finest, though. Heavy on virtue, light on substance. We're told it recognises the cost of living crisis, and that's a very serious issue indeed, and it deserves serious solutions. What it actually delivers is £200,000 in a budget that's over £2 billion. That's not transformation, that's not structural reform, that's barely more than rounding up errors. This is not a bold intervention, it's budgetary reshuffling with press releases attached. The remaining 100,000 reinstates a base budget for a service that already exists. No expansion, no guarantee of increased support, no long-term funding certainty, just the appearance of doing something for the sake of doing something in this chamber today. When we're not dealing with families who genuinely cannot afford food, heating or essentials, appearances are not enough. But the real question is this: where does the money come from? We're asked to reduce our members' allowances, potentially cut cabinet and deputy cabinet positions that are dressed up as trimming the political fat. In reality, it means fewer people carrying more responsibility, more workload, more scrutiny, whilst expecting better outcomes and faster service and delivery. That isn't efficiency, it's concentration of pressure. And then there's a proposal of the removal of the political assistance, and we've heard nothing but that all day, so I'm going to skip through some of this. These roles are portrayed as unnecessary political luxuries. They're not. They support policy development, they support scrutiny, they support accountability. Removing them does not strengthen democracy, it weakens the very capacity of the elected members to challenge, develop and improve our policy. So let's be honest about what this amendment really does. It weakens governance, it's to fund a modest short-term gesture that does not strategically change the level of support available to residents. We truly want to tackle the cost of living crisis, then we should be discussing long-term funding streams, sustainable service reform, meaningful engagement with government, not a one-off £200,000 reshuffle that sounds compassionate but fades quietly next year. The amendment does not solve the problem. It performs concern, really, and our residents, particularly those in real hardship, deserve more than performance politics. They deserve serious policy, serious funding and serious leadership. For that reason, I also cannot support this amendment.
Mr Wimble, we've got two people left, Mr Streetfield, Mr Barrett, and I'll close down the speakers after that and go to the seconder and the proposer. So, Mr Streetfield.
Thank you very much for bringing forward the amendment. The group obviously likes where the money is coming from, because we've heard it before, and we like where the money is going to. So I think we will be supporting it. I do want to take an issue with some of the things the Cabinet members have said, because you can't have it both ways. You can't have the fact that £16 is a lot to people, and then 200,000 is a rounding error. People in Kent won't tolerate that, and the reason you've heard so much about the political assistance today is because when you go on a doorstep in Hextable or wherever you live, and you say, "Did you know we're going to spend 180,000 quid on political assistance and the reform?" and that makes people. That's what gets people really angry, because they think that we ought to be spending our money on the things that we promised to prioritise. Now, when we made decisions about those priorities, which we did in September, people can rightly expect that we don't expect to then break them in February. Mr Collins makes a point that we decided these things in December, so we should adhere to it in February. So the flip side of that argument is you promised that list of 20 that I read out, all of the things that you have not funded in this budget. How can you make the argument that the democracy suddenly stops in February for one thing, but doesn't for all the rest? The people of Kent will quite rightly look at this meeting today and look at the County Council's priorities and the priorities of the administration and think, these guys were elected under a reform banner. They are coming forward and delivering for what we actually need, not for what the administration actually wants. And that people who were elected under a completely different banner can support them. We are united in that. The people who are making the decision that angers the people of Kent are sitting on that bench right there, Mr Chairman.
Thank you, Mr Streetfield. Mr Barrett.
Thank you, Mr Chairman. It's been a long day. Obviously, minds are becoming jaded, but an amendment is just literally there. It's there to amend the budget. It's not there to rewrite the budget. I will be supporting Councillor Thomas's motion here. And I just want to say a couple of contradictions that I'm hearing from the reform side of the bench. 200, 400 grand in this particular motion and in the other motions we've heard today is a pin drop in a £1.65 billion budget. Okay? That's basically what they've said again and again and again. There's no point in it. Why are we even having this discussion? And yet, they went to the press over removing pot plants for £40,000 and they removed crisis grants for £50,000. So, if these amounts of money, Mr Chairman, are not significant, why are they removing those amounts of money that have a significant impact, particularly the crisis grants, on the poorest in the people of Kent? It's a contradiction, plain and simple.
Thank you, Mr Barrett. And with that, we can move to the seconder, Mr Bradshaw.
Thank you very much, Chair. I did have a nice speech prepared, but there's no point in this, right, because I know what the answer is going to be. I represent Maidstone Central, and inside of Maidstone Central is one of the poorest areas of that town. The crisis grants you scrapped were overwhelmingly used by one of those wards to access food stamps and such the like. And you scrapped them because they were discretionary service. Members across that side, you represent some of the poorest areas in Kent. Poorest areas in Kent. And you are telling them, oh, sorry, we can't put anything in the crisis grants. We can't put a little bit of extra money in the hardship funds because we need to hire a political assistant, because we need to pad someone's pockets inside the cabinet. The lot of you need to read your own leaflets and see what you actually were elected on. Because when I was elected, as a reform member, and to where I am today, I see that you have undergone a significant change. You are no longer serving the interest that you put on that leaflet. You are now serving the interests of what is essentially your little campaigns for national government, and it is disgraceful. The people of Kent are the ones that suffer with this. The people of Kent in the poorest areas that some of you represent. And you should all do some serious soul-searching tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Bradshaw. Thank you, Mr. Bradshaw. Mr. Thomas.
Thank you, Chair. Well, I'm agog. My nan once said to me, "Just remember, but there for the grace of God go I. I just hope none of you are ever down on your luck." Referring to people, you're a rounding error. It's light on substance. More burden on deputy cabinet members. You've merged two good cabinets together. Can't you just shave a little bit off there? Some of the deputy cabinet members are sitting on lots of other committees as well. Therefore, you could argue they're part-timers. So you could shave a little bit off. It's time to realise £200,000, whilst a relatively small value, means a lot when you've got nothing. And you really need help. It is a shame, as Oliver's just said, that you can sit there, block vote, and ignore what it is you've said. Family, community, country, with consideration. Where is the consideration when you can just say you're a rounding error? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Collins, if you can sum up on the amendment.
Mr. Chair, much to my disappointment, I see that the last amendment that we have here today mentions the removal of a political assistant. I just want to pick up on a point that my colleague over there referenced when he made reference to the residents of Kent would be shocked about political assistants. And I mean no disparity to any of them, but I think the residents of Kent are more concerned about how much council tax they're paying, the state of the roads, the state of adult social care, the state of SEND provision and other services. No, sorry, Mr. Chair, I was not having a debate. That's what the most residents of Kent would speak to you about if you knocked on their door, as I think most of you will agree. So I just wanted to clarify that point, despite the political gesturing about the political assistant. I'm not going to waste any more time on this. I will not be supporting this amendment, and I encourage my fellow colleagues to vote against this amendment. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. And with that, we will move to the recorded vote. And again, the same process. If you support the amendment for, against, and the abstain, and we can vote now. Okay, I'll make that 26 for, 0 abstentions, 48 against, so a total of 74 voted. Thank you.